Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Training Industry Learning Tech Showcase. Emerging Technologies, sponsored by Camtasia, ComLab India, DID, ELB Learning, and Imparta. I'm Emma, a marketing associate here at Training Industry, and I'm so excited to have you with us here today. Before we get started, I have a few housekeeping items to go over to help you get the most out of today's session and interact with our speaker. Please feel free to use the chat for comments and submit questions in the Q&A panel. All questions will be addressed during the event or at the end of the program during our Q&A section. Once the session ends, a brief survey will open in your browser, so please take a moment to share feedback on today's session and speakers. And as always, all of our sessions are being recorded and archived on trainingindustry.com, and you will receive a follow-up email with a link to the on-demand session recordings after the event. If this is your first Training Industry event, we'd like to welcome you. Training Industry exists to make connections among learning and development professionals. We offer tons of resources to support your role in L&D through live events like today's Learning Tech Showcase, as well as through articles on our website, our magazine, conferences, research reports, our podcast, and more. We'd also love to hear about what you've learned from today's session on social media, so please follow us on your favorite platform so we can continue the conversation. And now, without any further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce you to our speaker, Andrew Hellman from ELB Learning, the Director of Partner Success and Enablement. It's great to have you, Andrew. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Emma. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here and to share a little bit about Rehearsal and AI-enabled role play with everyone. So I'll go ahead and jump in and begin by simply sharing my screen. And as I do that, just note that I've actually been working to help customers onboard and utilize Rehearsal for a little over 5 years now. And so I'm excited to bring that to you. Oh, Emma, I'm just...
All right, it looks good. I think we can see it.
Can you? Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay,
see Rehearsal.
perfect. Okay, awesome. Thank
Great.
you so much. I was having a little trouble with that. So I'm excited to just share a little bit about role play, which is the newest feature that's a part of Rehearsal, and it's a really important development. As I said, I've actually been helping customers gain value and utilize Rehearsal in their training and enablement practices for a little more than 5 years now. Rehearsal was really found as a video-based practice and coaching platform, and both of those components, both practice and coaching, are really important, we believe, in ultimately skill development for learners and employees within our organizations. And so the AI Roleplay feature, as I said, is our newest feature. And one of the great things about it is it allows us to provide a catalog of skills and sessions that learners can utilize to develop themselves, develop their skills, gain additional skills, and really become perfecters of their craft. So I'm going to just give you a little brief preview and walk through a bit of a demo of one of our environments here that we have available in our demo environment. So you can see that as a user, I can actually come into Roleplay and view an entire catalog of environments. We call these environments, they're different scenarios that I'm going to interact with and utilize in my skill development. So I have the ability to review a number of different environments that are available to me and choose what I might want to practice and gain some skill in. We also, of course, have the ability to assign specific scenarios or specific environments to learners in a variety of ways, including through your LMS directly. Of course, you can have learners come in and actually work on skills. When I come in through the catalog, you'll notice that I get a bit of a preview that tells me about the particular scenario that I'm going to practice in this particular case. I get some description, and I as well get the goals that are outlined for me as a part of this particular exercise. I also have access through embedded links to additional information that might be relevant for me. In this case, I'm going to actually talk to an employee about the attendance policy. And so you'll notice I can open that attendance policy document in another tab. So I can review information as I begin to prepare and organize myself and my thoughts for this particular interaction. Once I've reviewed this and I've decided, great, this is what I'm going to practice today, I'm going to actually begin my practice session here. And so again, I can review all of that information that was made available to me. I may even have an introductory video that is also available. And so I can review that. I am going to just make sure that I have shared my audio with everyone here in my screen share as well. Okay, hopefully this will come through as I begin. So I've got that ability, as I said, to really understand what is being asked of me. And when I'm ready to begin, I'm actually going to begin my session. Now, as I'm working through this particular skill or this particular training exercise, you'll notice that at the very bottom of my screen, I have the ability to go back and review any of that helpful information that I got as I was entering this particular environment. So I get all of that context from the text. And I'm also going to have the ability to receive insights as I work through this particular exercise. That's really important because role play is something that is helpful in overall skill development. But a lot of times that took a number of people involved in a role play, right? I'm going to need somebody else that I need to role play with. I probably would need an observer as well who would be able to give me coaching and feedback. But with AI enabled role play within Rehearsal, I actually get all of that through technology, including getting real time feedback. So I'm going to leave this Insights tab up for us as we walk through this particular exercise so that you can see how it's going to coach me, offer encouragement, or give me some advice about my interaction in real time as it evolves here as we go through this exercise. Now, I do have my goals over on the right-hand side, but I can also choose to hide them if I want as well. So I'm going to go ahead and begin this session. If you didn't get a chance to review, I'm actually interacting with Casey, who is an employee at my quick service restaurant. Casey has missed the last few shifts that she has been scheduled. And so we're going to have a little conversation about that. And one of the things that you'll notice is that for this particular scenario, it's going to start with Casey approaching me. And Casey, as the AI enabled agent here, is actually going to begin this exercise. She is going to speak first, but that's something that can be set up specific to the scenario or the training environment. So it can be one where it's the learner or my responsibility to speak first and initiate this interaction, or it could be the AI agents actually initiating the conversation and session. So I'm going to click begin, and then we're going to wait for Casey to begin. And hopefully that audio is coming through. You'll notice that there is text being displayed as well, so that I, as a learner, I now get some time to be able to respond. I I do have the ability to pause and gather my thoughts. Again, this is for the purpose of me gaining skill. And we think real time interaction, thinking on your feet is important, but we also want to make sure that we're enabling the learner through information and coaching and continual practice. So I get to see Casey's text pop up here as well for me. And then when I'm ready, I'm going to go ahead and respond. Yeah, hi, Casey. Thank you for coming in. I wanted to speak to you about the fact that you've missed the past few shifts that you've been scheduled, and we didn't receive any notice from you that you weren't going to be able to make them. So we see, of course, that Casey's response is verbalized by the AI agent. Again, I see the text, so I can read that text as I begin to prepare. And again, I'm going to get continual coaching as I move through this interaction. Now, again, I'm pausing here, so when I'm ready, I'm going to click record again. But I also just want to show you that I can continue to review the transcript of our interaction. So if at some point I lose context because this is maybe the first time I'm trying this exercise, I get the ability to go back and review all of my all of our interaction thus far.
Andrew. We can't hear the
Yes.
AI voice. We can see the transcript, but if you just stop your screen share and then try it again, you should be able
Yep.
to make it work.
That's what I was going to say. Let's
That's the
just do that
trick.
really quick. For some reason, I don't have the ability to share sound,
Okay, hold
Emma.
on one second because there is a setting that I can fix, and you should be able to now.
There we go. Okay,
Fabulous.
great. Hopefully, sound will come through on the next interaction then. So again, I'm going to be able to review my feedback that I'm getting from the AI role play as I record my next response. Casey, I appreciate that it didn't seem like a big deal to you, but it does make a pretty significant impact to your teammates and to the organization as a whole. When you miss a shift, we really schedule things so that we're optimized for our ability to meet customer demands. And so when we're down one team member, that makes it a challenge and stressful and difficult for your team members who are working at that particular time. So again, it's going to generate that text and that audio for me. Hopefully that's coming through at this point. And again, I continue to receive coaching based on where I am in this conversation. Again, you'll notice that it's actually giving me a recommendation. Consider asking Casey about challenges that they might be facing to understand what's going on with them. That's great, Casey. I guess I'm glad that you that you don't want to make it more difficult for your teammates. Can you tell me maybe what was occurring for you that caused you to not call in and just let us know that you weren't going to be able to make your shift? So I get to continue, of course, this interaction. And again, I'm just going to show you that I can go back to that history. I can review the full history. Maybe I've had a good conversation thus far, but I'm not really sure where to continue to take this conversation. I can sort of review the goals and, of course, review the text description again as I continue to work through this. Now, if I decide at this point, I think I've done a good enough job at the moment, maybe I'm not fully confident of exactly how I'll wrap up this conversation, I can end the session at this point. So I'm going to do that just to show that when I end a session, the role play is going to actually analyze my performance thus far, and it's going to tell me of those goals, what have I met fully, what have I maybe partially accomplished or achieved, and what goals have not been achieved at all. So at any point when I stop an interaction, I have this ability to check where I am in that conversation. Again, we're really concerned with making sure we're developing the skills of all of our learners. This isn't about just telling me that I've done it or that I've not done it. So it's really about making sure that we're meeting me as a learner where I am in my experience and in my learning and practice journey for this particular skill. We're always concerned with mastery. That's really been what rehearsal has been all about, helping learners master particular skills, being great at particular interactions. And we know that's going to take um, repeated practice sessions. A lot of times it's not something that we often master in just one attempt. That's another thing that really we found in early days of rehearsal that role plays were difficult about. They take a lot of time to bring resources together to do live role plays. And we know that skill mastery is something that comes through repeated practice. And we want to make sure that we're enabling that through all of our tools, giving learners the ability to constantly work and improve. Emma, I know we've had a few sort of questions. I'm wondering if it's worthwhile to take any hand raises
Yeah.
or
There's a few. One came in the Q&A panel um, about integrations with this. So can this be integrated into a software like Articulate Storyline so it can be implemented as a skills practice and exported as a SCORM to publish to an LMS?
yes, so role play specifically can be SCORM wrappered and placed into an LMS. So you have that ability to add an interaction like this directly within a learning journey within the LMS. So that way, as I'm learning skills, I could learn the first few components of a particular overall skill, practice those, right? Practice sort of iteratively a little bit as I go. So, yeah, you do have the ability to integrate role plays right within a learning journey. Again, meeting the needs of your learners right where they are. So, that is absolutely a possibility.
Great. Here's another one. Could the coaching prompts, I guess maybe the goals, be turned off to not lead the conversation of the associate going through the role play, maybe as like an initial round?
I believe currently that they are all goals are something that is going to currently be displayed to
Hmm.
learners. Um, it's a great question. I will say that the rehearsal side, the original component of how we built this platform, did have that ability to hide goals for learners, so that you wouldn't exactly know what you were going to be evaluated on. It's a great request and certainly something I could see us considering as a future feature enhancement.
Cool. Um, I have one more if we have time.
Yep.
Um, we got some questions about like libraries and scenarios of challenges. Is there like a library within the platform where your own scenarios are stored and can be easily copied and modified to maybe use for somebody else or for another instance?
Yeah, I saw that one as well. So there is a library. First of all, you'll notice that when I am here within role play, I see the sessions that I've started already. And so I can again go back and practice any of these that I've been given, whether they were assigned to me, and I was given to them through a link in the LMS or anything like that, or I went and explored the catalog. Now, the catalog is obviously a public catalog. You can make what I would call private catalogs. And the ability to create these role plays is something that can be given to all learners or all participants in the platform. For most of our clients, as they have started using role play, they tend to have a small uh, sort of core group of people that create these role plays, whether it's based on training needs or whether it's based on managers requesting particular role plays or particular scenarios. But you could give learners the ability to create their own situation and their own role play so that they could build their own and practice on their own, and then even give their other colleagues access to those that they create. So, yes, when you create these, again, we call them environments. People think of them as sort of situations or specific role play sessions. You've got the ability to create and distribute them in a number of different ways, including creating them and just keeping them for yourself. If you are trying to create role plays for new situations that you find yourself in your job or in your role, and then be able to practice before having to perhaps have that conversation live. Yes. I do see just this most recent question about giving learner the permission to create their own scenario. At the moment, that would not impact the cost of a proposed solution. So at the moment, sort of it's truly based on the number of people that you have within the environments, just in total, whether they are a learner, whether they are a manager, or what we might refer to as a mentor, or whether they are somebody who can create different role play scenarios themselves. So, yeah. Great. And I see that somebody also clarified a question a little bit for us of if you've got two role play scenarios for certain customer interactions and you'd like to modify one and tweak for a third product. We've got all sorts of ability you can, as an administrator, you can duplicate particular scenarios or particular environments as you develop them and then make them a little more specific. I will say that the creation of these environments is quite robust and straightforward. You can create environments from just a simple text prompt, so I can give it some instructions. I can also even give it documents. Maybe I have some sales enablement documents for a particular product, and I want to have a role play created based on those documents, those product documents. We can utilize those in the creation of various environments of various role plays. So yeah, the creation is fairly straightforward, and quite robust. I'll move on to talk a little bit about how reporting works, because that's always really important. Again, we talk about the fact that AI role plays are really oriented even more so for the learners in developing particular skills and gaining particular skills. But Rehearsal, as it was founded, still truly believes that mentorship and coaching is an equally important part of learners and employees' overall developments. And so you do have the ability to have mentors come in, and I'm going to just grab a session here. Actually, I believe it was this one, where I can see a particular learner who, again, this particular learner has partially met some of the requirements. You'll see the performance metrics here on the right, which say some things were partially met. And so I can actually review the timeline of their interaction, and you'll see I get to see that back and forth interaction that a learner had with the AI agent. So here is a transcript. I can also review the video itself. So if I want to actually review the video that was recorded by that particular learner, I can review that particular video. Maybe it was a little bit of a longer interaction, and so I want to review that. I've got that ability. Or I can also just see a transcript of that particular interaction that the learner had. So I have the ability to come in and review all of those sessions that my learners, if I'm a manager, that my learners are having. And I can see every single interaction that they have. So hopefully I can see their first interaction or their first session. And I can see a later session where they've hopefully continued to develop their skills and get better. And now, when I'm perhaps in a one on one setting, I have the ability to provide some direct coaching about their particular session and maybe offer some further suggestions for them. So, managers have that reporting capability. Of course, administrators do as well, so that we can always come in and see what is going on within the environment and how can we provide additional coaching. I might review some particular sessions and realize that there's one small interaction that we're all really struggling with on my team. And so now, as a manager, maybe I have the ability to just create a specific environment that I'm going to give everybody to practice that one element that we're all struggling with. And as I said, as a learner, I'm really encouraged. You can see that, of course, I get to see all of my previous ones. I can jump into, and I can, of course, review my previous sessions. So I can go back and see a particular session and how well I did. Now, this one was I would see a very elementary or very basic. But if I felt I still could improve, I can create a new session. And so now you can see I'm doing that same interaction that I did previously, but now I get the ability to continue to make attempts and develop in my own skill with this particular one. I'll take a pause just to make sure that we don't have any other questions at the moment. Emma, I don't think we do.
Yeah, I actually have one. Are there any other languages supported besides English?
Oh, that's a great question. I love that question. We do. So the languages we support, I believe, we're up to about 12 or 13 at the moment. And I love that question because I actually work with all of our international partners throughout the world. And you can imagine that the international partners love our technology and they groan when we first launch it in English only. So they are always ones to suggest it looks great. Tell me when it's available in Dutch or in Spanish or in Portuguese. And so our international partners who help us represent our products around the world often push us to ensure that we've got great multilingual support and that that multilingual support is really truly exemplary. So we have all of our partners who gain access to our tools, and when we go to launch new feature enhancements around multiple languages, we ask them to test it and ensure that our multilingual capabilities are truly up to snuff when it comes to a native speaker of that particular language. So I do see a question here as, can we teach the AI to say specific brand words? There's not an area of the platform at the moment that would handle that explicitly, but through the instructions that you give to these environments when you create them, you would be able to sort of highlight or identify that. I think that's a good takeaway for us to consider, where might we need to make sure that there are very specific words or phrasings that we're handling in an exact pronunciation manner. So I want to be conscious of time. I know we're about up here. And so thank you so much for all your questions. Is there an AI voice coaching with a static image and no lip movement? Yeah, so you may have noticed that at the moment, all of our AI avatars or interactions are through more of a picture. And I'll be honest, I think we are oriented a little bit more that way. We are considering where avatars may be appropriate. We have generally found that people don't have the greatest reaction to an avatar that speaks to you when we're interacting. And to be honest with you, we've heard from our customers that a lot of their own employee interactions with their customers on Zoom tend to be with somebody who's off camera. And so this is again a typical environment for what, at least at the moment, a lot of our customers are experiencing, which is sort of that image or static image while we're on camera having a conversation with a customer over Zoom. Again, I think that's something we are always curious to hear how our customers' experience evolve and at what point adding more avatars that move and speak might be appropriate. And you can customize avatar images, yes. So you can upload a custom avatar image to be utilized, just like I have the ability to add custom images to the environments themselves as a little bit of a preview. Absolutely. Great. If there's no other questions, I really appreciate everyone's time today. I'll bring up on screen, I think it's probably been mentioned in the chat, but if you are interested in a demo of rehearsal and role play specifically, we love to talk about it. I love to talk about role play. Again, I think it's a powerful tool. Video-based coaching and practice platforms, I think, are critical to the skill development of our learners. In particular, we all know that I can take a test and recite all sorts of knowledge, but when I have to go into the field and actually have a conversation and think on my feet and adapt to a customer throwing me a curveball, that the best way for development in those environments is true practice and coaching.
Thank you so much, Andrew. This has been a great session. And thank you to
Thank
all of our attendees as well for your participation and all of your questions. Like I said, we're about out of time. But again, thank you all. And we have a 15-minute break up next. We're gonna meet with Richard from Imparta for their session. I hope you all stick around for that session, which will begin at the top of the hour. Thanks again, everyone, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
thank you all so much. Bye-bye.